What is prosperity? Many people think prosperity is money, but it's not. Prosperity is growth. Repeat with me. Prosperity is growth. Now, why do most people struggle to prosper? Simple. Because their minds have been conditioned the wrong way. There's an almost unconscious aversion to prosperity. This resistance prevents people from understanding the true meaning of things. You might not believe this at first, but the correct understanding of things doesn't produce magical results. It produces natural results. When we carry the wrong meaning, we end up with the wrong outcome. For example, those who feel anger toward wealth inevitably carry poverty. Those who reject wisdom live in foolishness. That's why looking for a magical formula is pointless, because it doesn't exist. What does exist is the natural formula, understanding the root of what you desire. This clarity is what brings results. Today I'm going to tell you something powerful. Jewish people live by principles deeply rooted in their culture. This isn't about criticizing or interfering with anyone's faith, but recognizing that they consistently apply these principles. And what is a principle? Think about it for a moment. Maybe you confuse principles with vague concepts or random rules, but that's not what they are. A principle is the foundation. It's the root. Imagine a tree. If you want to understand the beginning of the tree, you need to go to the root. The tip of the root still carries the essence of the seed, and that's where it all starts. On the other hand, if you want to see the result, look at the fruit. Everything in life has a cause and an effect. Why do I emphasize this so much? Because often you already know the answers, but lack clarity. This lack of clarity in the most important matters is what prevents you from prospering quickly. In the coming days, I challenge you to seek this clarity. Discover the cause behind your actions, get straight to the point, and see the fruits you can harvest. The time is now. You need clarity about things, a lot of clarity. And prosperity, as we've discussed, is growth. It's not philosophy, it's not abstraction. It's something simple and natural. Growth. Think of a water source. It starts as a small trickle, cuts through the earth, becomes a stream, and then a powerful river filled with large fish and impressive currents. That's prosperity, natural and constant growth. Now, what is a principle? A principle is the raw material of creation. It's the essence, the root. When you understand this, things become clearer. If I ask you, what is wisdom? Wisdom is a seed. It carries all the potential for something magnificent. And what is wealth? Wealth is the fruit. See the connection? The seed is the beginning, the fruit is the result. Wisdom, like a seed, needs care. But what does the fool do? He ignores the seed, lets it dry out, and loses the opportunity. The seed must be planted and germinated, and that's not easy. To germinate, the seed must be buried in the earth. This burial is the moment of decision. It either discovers the power it holds or dies. It's at the moment of sprouting that the seed ceases to be just an idea, a possibility, and transforms. This is the beginning of prosperity. Consider the stages. Wisdom is the seed. Prosperity is growth. When the seed germinates, a small plant is born. It grows, strengthens, and depending on the type of tree can become something magnificent. That's how it works. What does this mean for you? It means that loving wisdom is carrying the code for growth. Anything you desire in life begins with an idea, a seed. If you have 10 different seeds and plant them, each will have its own time and way of growing. Some you'll know well, others will surprise you, but the secret lies here, understanding the potential each seed holds. Plant, care for it, and see what grows. The language of the future, seed, wisdom, and wealth. Everything begins with an idea. When that idea breaks through and prospers, it becomes a fruit. And the fruit is the third level, wealth. Now tell me, do you think there's anything magical about this? Could someone say that planting a seed in the earth and watching it grow is magic? No, it's not. It's pure nature. The seed already carries the power within itself. Here's something incredible. The seed is the only thing in creation that speaks to the future. It is the language of the future. If no one plants, we won't have a way to communicate with tomorrow. Think about it. If you don't have children, your DNA stops speaking to the future. If animals stop reproducing, if no one plants seeds anymore, we'll be disconnected from the natural cycle of life. Want to speak to the future? Plant a seed. It doesn't matter if it's a physical seed or an idea. It's the starting point. When it comes to wisdom, know that there are different types. Kingdom wisdom, human wisdom, mathematical wisdom. Proverbs 4:7 teaches us that it's worth selling everything to acquire wisdom. Now, reflect with me. There are people who have plenty of land but no seed. Others have seeds but no land. And there are even those who have both but don't prosper. Why? Because they don't plant. Prosperity follows laws. One of these laws is clear. God does not show favoritism. He doesn't choose who prospers and who doesn't. The principle of prosperity is natural. It's at the foundation of creation. When we understand this, we connect with the essence of life. It was this pursuit of understanding that made Solomon stand out. Solomon didn't just look at the obvious. He contemplated everything: the ant, the flight of pests, the movement of storms. He deciphered the hidden codes in creation. And this is the secret I want you to learn today: contemplation. Contemplation isn't just looking, it's seeing the codes, the principles, and the potential in everything around you. This is the true code of Solomon. Solomon was a master of contemplating nature. Read the book of Proverbs and notice how he saw wisdom in the simplest details. He looked at an ant colony and found a lesson. Who leads these ants? They have no boss, no badge, but they work hard in the summer to prepare for winter. Then he compared. Look at the lazy man. See the difference? Proverbs is exactly that, a collection of principles applied to life. It's about understanding why some people prosper and others don't. Another example comes from rivers, the concept of overflow that many fail to understand. Solomon derived this from observing rivers. You don't need to study at Harvard or NASA to grasp natural laws. Wisdom lies in simplicity. Even Jesus said, "The kingdom belongs to children. If you don't become like them, you won't enter." This doesn't mean being childish, but being simple. Contemplation is the act of seeing beyond with simplicity. Wisdom is like a seed. You say, "I can't prosper." Maybe it's because you don't have the seed, or worse, maybe you do have it, but you're surrounded by crows. Before planting, the crows are already taking the seeds from your pocket. You're wasting time fighting the crows when you should be planting. When planting, the process is simple. One digs the hole, another places the seed, and a third covers it. In the end, you plant paired corn seeds, 2 at a time. Now pay attention. When you get distracted by the crows and leave the planting to chase after them, you lose the sowing season. Here's a powerful principle. Nature has its share of losses. God feeds the birds. Some grains are for them, and that's part of the natural cycle. So don't chase after losses. That's foolish. Their loss is like a river flowing to the sea. It doesn't come back. Your role is to swim upstream, not to go downstream, chasing what's no longer yours. I studied law, and anyone familiar with this field knows it focuses on seeking advantages. But I chose to live in peace. I've never picked fights or sued anyone because I understood something fundamental. Wasting time on attacks and revenge is going downstream. My choice is to swim upstream and plant my seeds, letting nature handle the rest. Remember, prosperity lies in wisdom and simplicity. Don't complicate it. Plant your seed, move forward, and leave the crows behind. I've never sued anyone, even though I've been sued myself. Why? Because I set a target in my heart, to prosper so much that there's no time for petty disputes. Someone might ask, what if someone causes you a loss of $1 million? My answer, it happened once, and it became a diploma. I hang that diploma on the wall as a reminder never to take that course again. Those who keep chasing losses are like people chasing crows to retrieve seeds. After all, the crow doesn't produce, it only consumes. Let it take its share and keep planting. Do you know what a thief communicates to God when they steal? They're saying, "I don't trust your provision." They're challenging the Creator, claiming what was given to someone else. That's the thief's message. But you, the producer, shouldn't worry. Produce so much that theft doesn't disrupt your purpose. Prosperity is growth, and those who understand this never stop. The true meaning of money. When we talk about money, we need clarity. Money is just an energy of exchange. It's artificial, a tool that facilitates market transactions. For example, if I sell apples and you sell corn, we might not have a direct interest in trading. Money acts as an intermediary, allowing each of us to acquire what we truly need. Here's the secret. Money must be your servant, never the other way around. It works for you without vacations, without rest, always multiplying itself. There are 3 types of people when it comes to money. 1. Masters of money. They control money, making it work for them. 2. Those who sell out for money. They trade values and dignity for it. 3. Slaves to money. They're dominated by it, endlessly chasing it. Be a master of money. Make it work for you. Money in your hands is like a farmer with seeds. You plant, nurture, and wait for it to yield offspring. Wealth comes from reinvesting those offspring so they grow and multiply. The code of multiplication. Your salary won't make you rich. What generates wealth is putting that money into motion, investing in something that yields returns, an asset, a business, an idea. Think of money as a pair. You pair male and female money, put it into the market, and they produce more money. What's the secret? Take these offspring and continue growing them, reinvesting. This way the cycle never ends and prosperity becomes continuous. Remember, prosperity is growth. Money is just a means. Plant, multiply, and watch the fruits of your labor flourish. Many people live in the same cycle, exchanging an entire month of work for a single apple. And they're content with that because, after all, they can eat the apple. But how do you break this vicious cycle? It's simple. Cut the apple in half. Take the seeds, plant them, and sell the other half. At first it may seem difficult, even painful, but over time, in 5 years, you'll have your own apple tree. Then you'll never need to trade a whole month of work for one apple again. You'll have 800 apples on your tree, and the game will change. Now, I ask one thing. When you break free from this cycle, teach others to do the same. The more prosperous people there are in the world, the better it will be. In places of extreme poverty, where everything is lacking, water, transportation, resources, what's most lacking is prosperity around them. On the other hand, in areas full of prosperous people, everything seems to flow. The first law of the universe is generosity. There's no truly generous person who doesn't prosper. But pay attention, generosity is not the same as recklessness. Being generous means planting seeds in someone's heart, not scattering them on asphalt. Excessive virtues can turn into flaws. A kind-hearted person, when overzealous, becomes a pushover. Extreme loyalty can make someone a pack mule. It's important to balance qualities because every virtue, when obsessive, carries a risk. The true meaning of generosity. Generosity is a voluntary act, expecting nothing in return. It's like an overflow of something that comes from your soul. When God sees this generous spirit, He entrusts you with more. Here's a secret that changed my heart. When God wants to bless someone through another person, He always gives in abundance. He doesn't operate in scarcity or just the bare minimum. God trusts the generous because He knows they will overflow with what they've received. Be that person. Receive the excess, overflow, and transform the lives around you. Prosperity begins with generosity. Generosity is like being a mail carrier. Think about it. The mail carrier delivers letters without keeping any for themselves. They're reliable, which is why they keep receiving more to distribute. That's what it means to be generous. God trusts you, and you're always blessed for having this spirit of generosity. Awakening generosity. No one is born generous. We are naturally selfish, a legacy from Adam. But generosity can be awakened, trained, and cultivated. It can arise through the example of others, conscious acts or corrections like this one. The Bible teaches, "Whoever is faithful with little will be trusted with much." God never works with scarcity. If you're not generous with the little you have, how can you receive more? When you release what you have in trust, God trusts you with abundance. Creation reflects the Creator. Look at yourself in the mirror. If you see yourself as limited, fearful, or lacking, you're sending a message to the Creator that He is the same way. But this isn't true. God is generous. He created everything mankind needed before creating mankind, and then He gave man rest. If God weren't generous, He would have created man on the first day and asked for help with the rest. But He didn't. He prepared everything perfectly before bringing man into existence. This divine generosity is the foundation for understanding our own lives. By comprehending God's generous nature, we discover more about who we are and what we can become. God's generosity and free will. From the beginning, God demonstrated extraordinary generosity. Before man needed to plant, it was God who planted. He prepared everything for Adam. Man entered Eden with everything ready without needing to work. God is so generous that He didn't let Adam plant even one tree. Everything was already done by Him. But when man sinned, reality changed. God declared, "By the sweat of your brow you shall eat." From that moment on, man had to plant and harvest by the effort of his own hands. This wasn't merely a punishment, it was a milestone. From that point, work became one of the ways for man to connect with creation and prosper. Here's something amazing. This universal law works for everyone. It doesn't matter your religion, belief, or lack thereof. Whether you're Buddhist, Spiritist, Catholic, Evangelical, or atheist, the principle of generosity and work is universal. God shows no favoritism. He doesn't operate based on labels or religious doctrines. Generosity, God's reflection in us. When you are generous, you resemble God. He is the supreme model of generosity. He created everything and placed man in a garden, not on a farm, intending for him to enjoy life. God descended into the garden to meet with Adam and Eve. Even when man fell into sin, God continued to demonstrate his generosity. He provided a lamb, sacrificed it, and made garments for Adam and Eve so they wouldn't die immediately. And why did God expel man from the garden? To protect him. If Adam had eaten from the tree of life after sinning, he would have faced eternal death just as Lucifer did. The tree of knowledge, a proof of love. There were many trees in Eden, but two were special, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God commanded them not to eat from the tree of knowledge, but knew man would disobey. Why did this tree exist? It was the greatest proof of love God could give. Without the freedom to choose, there is no true love. God gave man the option to love him or not. Adam chose to access knowledge on his own, rather than trust the daily wisdom God already provided. Adam's disobedience wasn't a matter of childish curiosity. It was a conscious decision to trade divine wisdom for independent knowledge. He wanted access to a database he didn't need, and this trade defined humanity's history. Wisdom or knowledge. This choice between wisdom and knowledge is something we still face today. God offers wisdom, but we often prefer immediate knowledge, quick solutions, instead of trusting in divine timing and guidance. God's generosity, from the beginning, teaches us that all we need is to trust him, live by his principles, and choose to love him voluntarily. Human advancement, a testament to wisdom. Since ancient times, mankind has sought technology and progress. Did you know that Adam's generation, shortly after Eden, began creating musical instruments like drums and working with complex materials like snake leather? These advancements weren't simple, they were extraordinary achievements, and it didn't stop there. Subsequent generations built incredible structures, like the Tower of Babel, which, according to records, stood 2.4 kilometers tall. This was without cranes, computers, or artificial intelligence. Today's generation, with all its technology, has only managed 800 meters with modern skyscrapers. It's astonishing to consider the level of wisdom they possessed in those times. Why was all of this lost? Throughout history, whenever a king conquered a land, he destroyed the local culture, its language, ideas, and even its discoveries. The accumulated knowledge of generations was buried. A curious example is the goldsmith, who discovered bauxite, the material used to create aluminum. At the time, gold was common among the nobility, but aluminum surprised everyone. It was light, shiny, and seemed even more valuable. When the goldsmith revealed his discovery, he declared, "Only God and I know how to make this." He was immediately killed because his discovery threatened the value of gold. This teaches an important lesson. Throughout history, incredible technologies and wisdom have been lost, not due to a lack of capability, but because those in power chose to hide or destroy them. Generosity, the first law of the universe. And here's where generosity comes in. Generosity is one of God's trademarks. The more generous you are, the more prosperity you attract. That's the #1 law. But many people hide what they know, what they have, and even who they are. Ancient kings concealed their treasures to maintain power. Even today, some wealthy people say, "Stop talking about wealth, don't show what you have." I do the opposite. And you know why? Because I want people to understand that prosperity is possible. I want to show that generosity isn't just about giving, it's about sharing knowledge, opportunities, and inspiration. Generosity is like a constant help, a reflection of who God is. Those who are generous carry this divine trait and attract more prosperity, not because they fear losing, but because they trust in multiplication. So remember, hiding what you know or have may feel like a safe choice, but it's not the path to true prosperity. Be generous, share, plant something that benefits others, and watch how it transforms not only your life, but also the lives of future generations. Wealth, generosity, and the cycle of abundance. Many people struggle to accept prosperity. They say that success, wealth, and abundance are unforgivable. But do you know what I think? I don't care. And you know why? Because God is rich. His kingdom is rich. You need to get comfortable with wealth. The New Jerusalem, according to the Bible, has streets of gold. Gold will be something we walk on. Imagine passing through a portal and seeing solid gold walls 80 centimeters thick. If that scandalizes you now, it's because you don't yet understand the true meaning of prosperity. Repeat with me, God is rich. Being generous means carrying a part of him. Serving people reflects his character. But here's the key. Generosity isn't wastefulness. Generosity isn't giving what you don't have. The cycle of scarcity, abundance, and overflow. Think of a water tank. It has 3 stages. 1. Scarcity, when the water leaks from the bottom. 2. Abundance, when the tank reaches its maximum capacity. 3. Overflow, when water begins to pour out from the top. If you're living in scarcity, it means there are leaks. The first step is to fix those leaks. This is like repairing the pipes that drain your energy, resources, and time. As you elevate the level of those pipes, you start storing more, healing scarcity cubic meter by cubic meter. When you reach full capacity, you are in abundance. Abundance is the state where you can provide for yourself and your loved ones. But the ultimate goal isn't to stop at abundance. The goal is overflow. God created us with unlimited potential. The power of a child of God is limitless. But to reach overflow, you must elevate the pipes of scarcity and increase your capacity to retain. When overflow happens, you don't just live in abundance. You create an impact around you. Overflow isn't about how much you can accumulate, but how much you can share. It's about stopping the leaks at the bottom and starting to pour out from the top. Your capacity is limited by the environment you live in, the conversations you hear, and the patterns you've learned. But your power is unlimited. It comes from God. And when your power surpasses the limitation of your capacity, you experience true overflow. Scarcity, abundance, and overflow. A divine principle. Scarcity is a condition that can be healed. Abundance is an important stage, but the goal is to overflow. Because in God's kingdom, prosperity isn't just about accumulating, it's about sharing, multiplying, and transforming lives. Power is like the water in a river. It comes from somewhere and needs to flow to somewhere else. When you try to hold on to the water by creating a dam, something is lost. Dams can store water but don't promote the reproduction of life. Fish don't multiply in stagnant waters. For life to prosper, water must flow. The same applies to you. When you reach abundance, say 50,000 liters in your water tank, many people think that's enough, but that's not where the game ends. It's where it begins. Your capacity to retain matters less than the power you carry. That's why some people seem like superheroes, because their capacity has been surpassed by their power. They've understood that life isn't about accumulating, but about overflowing. When you carry the living God within you, your power exceeds human limits. Generosity is a way of showing who God is. Many disconnect from generosity because they try to bargain, thinking they'll only give if they receive something in return. But God doesn't operate like that. He didn't put a limit on the flow of water, and you shouldn't limit your generosity either. If you plant nothing, know that even abandoned land will grow thorns and weeds. The work you avoid today will double tomorrow. Even without planting, you will harvest. But what you'll harvest is weeds. The universal law of cause and effect. The second law of the universe is the law of cause and effect, or as I prefer to call it, the law of sowing and reaping. Everything begins with a cause, and the effect is its direct reflection. If you plant destruction, you will reap destruction. If you plant life, you will reap life. Here's the code. You never reap in the same proportion that you sow. A seed carries within it a power of multiplication. It never returns in the same measure as it was planted. It always returns multiplied. This is why it's crucial to be intentional about what you plant. Every seed contains a code that guarantees the harvest. When you understand the relationship between cause and effect, you start to see beyond. Every story, every situation has a cause. Discover the cause, and you'll understand the effect. Multiplication is the hidden secret within the seed. When you plant something with intention, it grows, multiplies, and overflows. And this is the great miracle. The harvest will never be just what you planted. It will always be more. The 4 mathematical operations and the power of multiplication. In life, we use the 4 basic mathematical operations: addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. But understand this, you will never truly prosper just by adding or subtracting. True wealth doesn't come from accumulation or extreme frugality. It comes from multiplication. Multiplication is the path. Let's analyze the operations. Subtraction. Those who live only by consuming subtract from their resources. This is the saver who tries to economize but never truly prospers. Division. Sharing can be powerful if done correctly. For example, sharing knowledge isn't losing, it's multiplying. When you teach, you don't lose any of what you know. Instead, you help others grow. This is the only division that leads to multiplication. So where should you invest your life? In multiplication. The word seed comes from the same root as semen. A seed, when planted, multiplies. This applies to everything. A man plants a seed in a woman who, like the soil, nurtures it. The return is extraordinary. From something microscopic, a baby is born. When you invest money in something productive, like a business or an asset, it multiplies and yields returns. The role of females in multiplication. Only females have the power to multiply. Women, companies, financial investments, everything female multiplies. Males on their own lack this capacity. They provide the seed, but the power of multiplication lies in the soil, in receptivity. However, what you plant matters. If you plant anguish in your wife's heart, you'll reap sorrow. If you plant betrayal, you'll reap destruction. Females multiply not only the good, but also the bad. This is why it's essential to be mindful of what you plant. Multiplication, more than numbers. Multiplication is a divine principle. It's not limited to what we see. It's embedded in all of creation. When you understand this principle, you begin to see life differently. Think about the symbol for multiplication, the X. If you connect its ends, it transforms into a symbol of infinity. It represents a never-ending cycle where energy flows and returns continuously. This is the true secret of multiplication, a constant movement of giving and receiving, investing and reaping. The X symbol and the exponential mindset. When God made a covenant with Abraham, he said, "I am with you, and your descendants will be as numerous as the sand of the sea." Abraham then performed a ritual described in the Bible, arranging animals in a specific position and walking between them. This ritual carried deep meaning and was marked by the symbol we now recognize as the X. This symbol, often claimed by organizations or societies, represents something much greater. It doesn't belong to any group. It reflects what God has already done and continues to do. When you understand this, you start to develop an exponential mindset for life and business. What is an exponential mindset? An exponential mindset is the ability to identify what truly has the potential for multiplication. It's not about adding or growing linearly, but about doubling, multiplying, and transforming. Imagine you have a business idea. The first question you should ask is, does this have exponential potential? If the answer is no, move on and find another opportunity. Don't associate with people or projects stuck in division, consumption, or mediocrity. How does exponential growth work? Let's simplify. 1. If you have something worth 1 and double it to 2, you've started the process. 2. If you double it again from 2 to 4, you're on the path. 3. When you reach the third doubling from 4 to 8, you enter exponential territory. At the third doubling, no one can stop you. You're in a realm where multiplication takes over. Now, imagine doing this consecutively for 5 years. Any business that can consistently double over 5 cycles has the potential to reach billion-dollar status. A practical example. Once, I worked at my wife's family business. My father-in-law, the owner, asked about my salary expectations. I replied, "Pay me 10 cents in the first month." He looked at me skeptically and asked about the catch. I explained, "It's simple. Next month, pay me 20 cents. The month after, 40 cents, and so on." The miracle of multiplication. This story illustrates the principle of exponential growth. The small numbers at the start may seem insignificant, but over time, multiplication creates unstoppable momentum. This is the power of the seed. It starts small but grows into something extraordinary. Multiplication is the divine path, not just in wealth, but in every area of life. Plant wisely, nurture what you plant, and watch as the cycle of cause and effect yields a harvest greater than you ever imagined. The power of exponentiality, a transformational force. He grasped the concept immediately. With a sequence of doubling, something seemingly small can become extraordinary in a short time. Exponentiality is the engine behind the most powerful startups in the world. They grow by consistently doubling their results. The secret isn't just growth, but repeating that growth across multiple cycles. To reach exponential levels, you need vision, strategy, and consistency. But once you get there, there are no limits to what you can achieve. The power of exponentiality in mathematics and life. Many people think linearly, accumulating little by little, without understanding the true power of exponentiality. Let me explain it simply with a real-world example. Imagine you hire me to work for 10 cents in the first month. It seems insignificant, right? But in the second month, I want 20 cents, then 40 cents in the third month. Each month, my salary doubles. Let's calculate. January, mount 10. February, mount 20. March, mount 40. April, $1. Tast May 1.60. At first, the numbers seem trivial, but as doubling continues, something magical happens. Look at the results over 1 year. December, 204.80. Now into the second year, the numbers begin to skyrocket. August, 52,428.80. December, 838 feet, 860.80. And in the third year, exponentiality reaches astounding levels. March, 6,710, 886.40. June, 53,687, 91.20. December, over $1.7 billion. By the 10th year, the values become incomprehensible to most people, reaching into the trillions. This isn't just about numbers. This example isn't just about math. It reveals a universal principle, the power of multiplication. The entire creation operates on an exponential scale, from seeds that grow into trees to ideas that multiply into impactful global projects. Exponentiality is everywhere. The problem is that many people still think linearly. They're stuck in concepts like saving and accumulating, failing to understand that true wealth comes from multiplication. The mindset shift, linear versus exponential thinking. If you think small, hoard every penny, and cling tightly to what you have, you'll never experience the power of multiplication. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. To prosper, you need to break free from this limited mindset and embrace exponential growth. The value of small beginnings. Everything starts small with humble beginnings. The person who starts with 10 cents and has the discipline to double it, the vision to grow, and the focus on multiplication can achieve heights that no one else can reach. The secret lies in trusting the process, understanding the power of exponentiality, and never giving up before seeing results. Stop thinking small. The universe was created to operate on exponential growth, and you were designed to be part of it. The case for unlimited growth. In 2016, the global GDP was $275 trillion. Imagine if someone applied the concept of exponentiality throughout their entire life. Even the world wouldn't have enough money to pay that person's salary after years of doubling. We'd need to negotiate African diamonds, Venezuela's oil reserves, and still fall short. Why has no one in history surpassed $1 trillion in personal wealth? It's simple. No one lives beyond 120 years. Time limits the capacity to accumulate exponentially. The wealth of Solomon, a timeless example. Solomon, over 3,000 years ago, is still considered the richest man who ever lived. The Bible doesn't hide the details of his wealth. In the books of Kings and Chronicles, you'll find precise descriptions of his opulence. Gold shields, chariots, masses of silver and gold, all accounted for in numbers. For Christians who criticize wealth, it's worth remembering that the Bible doesn't demonize prosperity. If it did, it wouldn't detail Solomon's riches or speak of streets of gold in the New Jerusalem. Some may argue, oh, that's prosperity theology. Call it what you will, but I don't follow poverty theology. That mindset has no place in my vision. Faith and abundance. I grew up hearing my mother say, a little with God is much. And that's true, because God carries the power of multiplication. But a little without God is simply misery. Many people use popular sayings or out-of-context Bible verses to limit their own capacity. They say, it's not God's time. But is that true? Or is it just an excuse for inaction? Imagine a child receiving a car, but unable to drive it because they can't reach the pedals. God has already given you what's yours, but maybe you need to grow to use it. It's not that it's not God's time, it's that you're not yet prepared for what He's already made available. Breaking generational limitations. If your family has spent their lives believing in limitations, ask yourself, have they prospered with that mindset? If not, it's time to rethink. Growing in faith doesn't mean clinging to scarcity. It means understanding that God is a God of abundance, the rise of faith and prosperity. Until the 1990s, evangelical faith in Brazil was often associated with poverty and suffering. Being a believer was almost seen as a social curse. But over the last 30 years, something changed. With the explosion of gospel music and the rise of great leaders who began speaking of God in an inspiring way, the message reached new audiences. Industrialists, entrepreneurs, artists, even Hollywood actors. This transformation proves a simple truth. When faith aligns with exponentiality, it has the power to reshape lives, industries, and even entire cultures. Prosperity is about growth, not misery. The idea that one must live in poverty to enter heaven no longer makes sense. God is generous and desires that we prosper in all areas, not just spiritually. Prosperity isn't just about money. It's about growth, multiplication, and living in fullness. It's time to leave behind the scarcity mindset and embrace the potential God has placed in you. He is the God who multiplies, the God of Solomon. And He is the same God who wants to see you prosper, not just for your own sake, but so that you can be a blessing in the lives of others. What is true poverty? Many misunderstand poverty as merely a social status. It's not. At its root, poverty means unproductivity, the inability to create, multiply, and prosper. What happens then? We use our own beliefs, even our faith, to justify this unproductivity. How many times have you heard someone use a Bible verse to limit their life? For example, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. This doesn't mean you can buy a yacht or achieve whatever you want without effort. It means you can face any situation, joy or sorrow, mountaintop or valley, because God gives you strength. The problem is that many choose to ignore reality. They pretend evil doesn't exist, that challenges don't exist. But ignorance is just the distance between you and what's real. Why don't people prosper? The answer is simple. Because they don't know who they are. They don't understand the potential they carry, the strength within them, or the universal laws that have been tested and proven throughout history. Recently, someone told me they were at rock bottom, with a debt of 1 million reais. After applying simple principles, they paid off their debts, restarted their life, and are now completely transformed. This is possible, but it doesn't happen overnight. The truth about beginnings. Every beginning is hard. If you can't overcome small challenges, like taking a cold shower or waking up early, how do you expect to conquer bigger ones? When I tell you to wake up early for 3 consecutive days, it's to build discipline. Those who can't face small battles will never be prepared for larger ones. You won't prosper just by listening to a motivational talk or hearing inspiring words. It takes consistent action, even when it's difficult. If you want to prosper, start small. Maybe you're earning little today, but it's in small beginnings that you develop the potential to achieve great things. Don't give up early. Every start is challenging. Entrepreneurship isn't freedom. If you think starting a business will bring you freedom, you need to reevaluate. Entrepreneurship means signing commitments, paying taxes, managing people, and dealing with bills, many bills. I once spoke with one of Brazil's largest retailers. He told me, every month I woke up owing 1 billion reais in invoices. Yet he kept moving forward because he understood that entrepreneurship is a commitment to growth, not a pursuit of freedom. Prosperity isn't about shortcuts or excuses. It's about facing reality, overcoming the scarcity mindset, and working to multiply what you have. God has already placed the potential for growth within you, but it's your responsibility to develop it. Growth requires discomfort. Everything is hard at first, but if you stay stuck at the beginning, the difficulty never ends. The secret is to advance, grow, and move beyond where you are now. This applies to every area of life, even the simplest things. At home, I have a rule for helping my children grow. If a child can ask me to change their diaper, it's because they're ready to start taking care of that themselves. I won't let them stay in a stage they've already outgrown. Growth may be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. The same applies to your life. Stop resisting growth and the changes it demands. If you surround yourself with people who only complain, depend on the government, or have a limited mindset, what do you expect to reap from that? The principle of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect is clear. The cause is the seed, the effect is its unfolding. But there's something fascinating about this. Think about an apple. If you cut it open, you can count the seeds. 5, 7, maybe 11. That's easy to measure. But how many apples are inside a single seed? No one can answer that. The potential for multiplication within a seed is infinite. This is the greatness of creation, the infinite wealth of the earth. Some say Earth's resources are running out. But that's not entirely true. Water, for example, doesn't disappear, it repositions itself. The wealth of the earth is like seeds, infinite in its cycle of renewal. If you fly over the Amazon, you'll see a sea of trees that sustain each other without direct sunlight or human intervention. This forest, like seeds, reflects the prosperity and abundance God has embedded in creation. The lesson of the apple and the seed. Counting the seeds in an apple is simple, but understanding the multiplication potential of a single seed changes your perspective. When you plant, invest, or work, you activate this infinite cycle of multiplication. So remember, don't resist growth, don't underestimate the cause, and never stop planting. What you sow today can produce unimaginable fruit tomorrow. The law of optimization, nature's efficiency. Have you noticed how nature always finds the most efficient path? This is known as the law of optimization, reflecting efficiency in everything around us. A simple example. In an electrical circuit, a short occurs at the closest point, completing the circuit in the most economical way. If there's a fuse, it will burn first, protecting the rest of the system. Everything is designed to operate with maximum efficiency. Apply nature's wisdom to your life. The same principle applies to your life. Stop fighting growth or clinging to inefficiencies. Optimize your mindset, your actions, and your beliefs to align with the laws of creation. Laws designed for growth, abundance, and prosperity. God didn't create you to survive in scarcity, but to thrive in fullness. Start planting seeds of potential today and watch how they multiply into a harvest of abundance tomorrow. The wisdom of nature and the law of optimization. Observe water flowing down a mountain. It finds the best path, wasting no energy. Where the water passes, grass grows, the soil softens, and life flourishes. Even a donkey instinctively follows the most efficient route down a mountain, creating trails that, in the past, became roads without the need for machines or technology. Nature is a master of optimization. Take a fish swimming upstream in a channel. It senses the pressure of the current, identifies the spot requiring the least effort, and chooses the most efficient path to ascend. There are no signs pointing the way, only the natural wisdom of efficiency. What does this teach us? That we can learn a great deal simply by observing nature. Watching how it operates helps us understand how to apply the law of optimization to our own lives. Break rules, preserve principles. Optimizing life also means reassessing what works and what doesn't. Principles are like foundations. They should be preserved because they come from something greater than ourselves. But rules, they should be questioned, tested, and when necessary, broken. If you're still living by the same beliefs and rules you had at age 10, even as a 50-year-old, it's time to optimize your mindset. Growth demands change. Carry the principles your parents taught you, but don't be afraid to revisit the rules they created. Those were designed for a specific context, and contexts change. Applying the law of optimization reveals that the shortest and most efficient path isn't always the fastest, but it's the one that preserves your resources and energy. Like the donkey finding the easiest trail or the fish choosing the right channel, you can adjust your course to be more efficient. Spend time observing nature and how it operates. Everything in it reflects efficiency, from water currents to the trails animals create. Contemplation leads to profound insights about living more intentionally and productively. Face your problems, don't ignore them. One day, a lion named Simba fled after a tragedy. He lost his father, his purpose, and sought a place to live in peace. Along the way, he met two friends, Timon and Pumbaa, who introduced him to their philosophy, Hakuna Matata. Translated, forget your problems. But here's the issue, a lion isn't made to forget. He's made to confront. The lion is the king of the jungle, a symbol of strength and leadership, and no catchy song could change the fact that Simba had a purpose to fulfill. How often have you been influenced by the Timons and Pumbaas of your life? People who tell you to relax, avoid your problems, and embrace the philosophy of Hakuna Matata? These individuals don't want you to prosper because your rise would expose their mediocrity. Problems, creators versus solvers. You'll be remembered for the problems you create and the problems you solve. But here's the secret. Those who create disruptive problems, like groundbreaking technologies, are highly valued. Those who merely solve problems created by others will always be underpaid, no matter how competent they are. For example, the creator of an innovative technology might earn billions, while the technician fixing system issues earns a fixed salary. Beware of Hakuna Matata, friends. Do you have friends like Timon and Pumbaa? The ones who, after you leave a motivational talk feeling inspired, immediately start singing the chorus, "Forget your problems." These people call you crazy if you decide to wake up early, study, or work on something new. Why? Because your prosperity exposes their mediocrity. If you succeed, they'll have to face the fact that they could have done the same but chose not to. Those who tell you to forget your problems are, in reality, trying to keep you average, at their level. If you avoid challenges, you'll never move forward. If you run from your problems, you'll never achieve your purpose. A lion is born to rule, not to forget. Like Simba, you need to confront your journey, not to escape, but to grow through it. Not everyone can go with you. You'll encounter people who say, "You're going too far." What they really mean is that they don't have the strength to keep up with you. They've already given up on their journey. Don't limit yourself to stay beside those unwilling to grow with you. Some people will try to hold you back, singing Hakuna Matata and urging you to live a purposeless life. But you're not like them. You're a lion, made to lead and to conquer. Discovering your identity. Remember the scene in The Lion King when Simba is lost and purposeless until Rafiki, the wise baboon, finds him. Rafiki doesn't just remind Simba of who he is, but also reveals something powerful, his resemblance to his father, Mufasa. When Simba looks into the water, he finally sees the image and likeness of his father reflected. You too carry the image and likeness of your creator. When you stop singing Hakuna Matata and look within, you discover your true identity. That's the moment you mature and realize you were made for something greater. Prosperity requires persistence. Prosperity is like a bitter remedy, like Boldo tea. You pinch your nose, swallow it, and only later realize it's exactly what you needed. Many people can truly prosper, but not everyone is willing to pay the price. The importance of association. Your associations determine whether you'll walk with wild boars or with the kings of the land. Those around you can either sing Hakuna Matata and make you forget your problems or inspire you to grow. What do you choose? Remember, success isn't just about hard work. It's about mindset. Train yourself to push beyond limits. For example, when I'm at the gym and the trainer says just one more rep, my body automatically does too. That's not physical strength. It's a command I've programmed into my mind. Always go further. Reclaim your purpose. Let go of distractions and associations that don't serve you. Return to the place you were made for. Like Simba, go back to your rightful home, to the purpose God designed for you. You're a lion, made to lead, not to hide. Face your problems, resolve them, and use them as stepping stones to fulfill your purpose. Because those who face their challenges are the ones who change the world. Dig deeper. The path to the gold in your life. If you want to dig deep enough to find the gold in your life, you must learn to push beyond the limits you think you have. Those who quit at the first obstacle will never reach what is reserved for those who persist. Prosperity isn't about shortcuts or luck. It's about commitment, the right associations, and a mindset that refuses to stop. The gold is there, waiting, but it won't come easy. If you stop before you get there, you'll never see it. Keep digging, keep pushing beyond, because life always rewards those who have the courage to persist. The internal battle, survival versus prosperity. Be careful with your brain. It only wants to survive. Your heart, however, longs to prosper. This is the internal battle we all face. In the end, you must choose which voice to follow. When you decide to read a book, you tell your brain, "I will pay myself with knowledge." But if you fail, you must hold yourself accountable. Your brain learns through discipline. When you understand the importance of association, you'll start to see how much the people around you impact your growth. The seed and the fruit. Recently, I met one of the most influential figures in the Bitcoin world. During our conversation, I asked two direct questions. One, are you a criminal? Two, why are you here? The atmosphere became tense, but I needed to understand something simple. I don't care about the story someone tells me. What matters is the seed and the fruit they carry. The same applies to the people around you. Don't judge them by their stories. Judge them by the impact they create and the fruits they bear. What truly pleases God? Many believe that exemplary behavior is what pleases God, but the truth is different. It's not your good behavior that matters most to Him. It's fulfilling the purpose He planted in you. Consider these examples. The midwives in Egypt defied Pharaoh to save Moses. They lied, yet God honored them. David, called a man after God's own heart, had serious flaws as a father and leader. Abraham made mistakes, but fulfilled his purpose. God isn't focused on your appearance or adherence to rules. He's interested in your ability to fulfill the purpose He planted in your heart. Faith, the key to pleasing God. The purpose God places in you is always bigger than your human capacity. That's why faith is essential. It's not about what you can do, it's about what you believe God can do through you. When God calls you, it's natural to laugh or doubt. Sarah laughed when she heard she'd have a child in her old age. But those moments reveal the magnitude of the purpose. It's not small, it's too great for our limited understanding. Stop seeking validation in your behavior and focus on fulfilling your purpose. God has called you to something bigger, something that requires faith and courage. Believe in it, even when it seems impossible. Why God doesn't reveal the full journey. Imagine if God showed you every detail of your journey, the challenges, failures, and struggles. Think about Joseph, sold into slavery, imprisoned for 13 years. If he had known all of this in advance, he might have given up. God doesn't reveal all the steps because our faith and courage are built along the way, not before the journey begins. Each step depends on your associations, choices, and most importantly, the faith you cultivate. Overflow, sharing what you carry. What is overflow? It's teaching, sharing what you know, and giving what you carry. You can overflow in many ways: writing a book, giving a speech, guiding someone at the right moment. Even your life example, without saying a word, can be a form of overflow. I've been deeply impacted by books written by people who decided to overflow their knowledge and experiences. Their teachings ignited a desire in me to grow and to share with others what I've learned. The environment you're in and the intensity of your overflow can transform the atmosphere. Your surroundings can conceive extraordinary things from what you share. You were called to overflow, to take something beyond yourself. This could be knowledge, inspiration, or even your story. Don't keep to yourself what God has placed in you. Aligning your mind with faith. Often, our brain is the biggest obstacle to faith. It's programmed to question, doubt, and procrastinate. While your heart wants to act, your brain argues, now isn't the right time. Leave it for tomorrow. What if it goes wrong? The key to accessing what truly matters, materially or spiritually, is clearing these doubts. Align your mind with your faith and decide, I believe in this, and I will focus on it. That's when faith gains traction and begins to move mountains. Chronos and Kairos, the two realities of time. We're bound by Chronos, earthly time, measured in hours, days, and years. Our corruptible bodies have an expiration date, limiting our perception. But there's Kairos, eternal time, where past, present, and future converge in a single moment. A powerful example is the transfiguration of Jesus. On the Mount of Transfiguration, he enters Kairos and meets Elijah and Moses, each from their own earthly time, yet all connected in the same eternal moment. To access this level of fullness, you must clear your mind of distractions and connect with something greater. Fullness, the balance of life. Being full is more powerful than being rich. A rich man can be humiliated if he lacks emotional balance or fails to value people. But someone full, that person prioritizes people over things, honors their word, and acts with integrity, even at a loss. Fullness is about finding balance between the material and the spiritual, between body and mind. It's much better to be surrounded by full people than by wealthy individuals without character or integrity. Mastering fullness, the 12 areas of life. Fullness isn't about having everything, it's about being complete. It's about living with purpose, acting with faith, and valuing what truly matters. When you're full, there are no limits to what you can achieve because you operate not just in Chronos, but also in Kairos, eternal time where everything is possible. Being full isn't about succeeding in one or two areas of life. It's about mastering all 12 and living an extraordinary life. Plenitude in relationships and integrity. Fullness means saying no when necessary. It's proof of mastery, that you won't trade your purpose to please others. In marriage, fullness means never demeaning your partner with words or actions. It's about choosing kindness, guarding your words, and elevating the person beside you. Fullness is knowing that your union is greater than life's storms and challenges. It's about being complete together and living a life aligned with purpose, integrity, and unwavering faith. Plenitude, flying above the storms. Like an airplane flying at 40,000 feet, above the storms raging at lower altitudes, fullness allows you to transcend conflicts and challenges. While many struggle to survive in chaos, those who live in fullness find serenity above the clouds. Fullness is more than tranquility, It's about maintaining your essence and direction. Imagine yourself as an airplane at high altitudes. The environment requires special preparation, but it's there that you gain clarity and focus. A person living in fullness rises above distractions and limitations, staying focused on the purpose God has placed in their life. Essence and direction, the vital alignment. Essence is who you are, direction is where you are going. To live in fullness means aligning these two forces, ensuring that every decision brings you closer to your purpose. When you live in fullness, the problems around you don't sway your focus. Just as an airplane stays on course above turbulence, you remain focused on what truly matters. The goal of your life should be fullness, mastering every area, preserving your essence, and following a clear direction. This means living above life's storms, with purpose and alignment with who you are called to be. The power of essence, a lesson from the Jewish people. One of the greatest strengths you can have is clarity about your essence. Consider the example of the Jewish people. They never abandon their identity to please other cultures or societies. They know who they are. Jesus is the perfect example of this. He was Jewish culturally, politically, and religiously, and he never changed that. But here's the point. Jesus didn't call you to become Jewish. He called you to be free, to live a lifestyle that reflects his essence. That's Christianity, not a religion but a way of life. While religions require physical temples, in Christianity, your body is the temple, crafted by God's own hands. Discovering your essence. If you don't discover your essence, you'll live according to others' dictates, shaped by their expectations, and lose sight of who you truly are. Discovering your essence means understanding your identity. Think of an apple tree. It knows it's an apple tree because it produces apples. The scent of the apple is in its leaves, trunk, and roots. Similarly, when you discover your essence, your fruits appear naturally. But what do you do with these fruits? If you don't share them, you're wasting what's been given to you. Essence and fruits. When you live in your essence, your direction becomes clear and your fruits manifest. But the fruits aren't just for you, they're meant to impact others. Don't criticize or complain about opportunities. Seize them. Absorb as much as you can and turn it into action. Ask yourself, am I living my essence? Am I taking advantage of opportunities to grow and bear fruit? Aligning essence and direction is the key to understanding your purpose. Say aloud, I need to activate my essence to find my direction. This declaration is a commitment to who you truly are, the mystery of purpose. God doesn't reveal the final destination clearly. He gives clues, but the path is for you to uncover. Take the example of Abraham. God called him out of Mesopotamia, the wealthiest region of the East, and sent him to Canaan, a land considered cursed at the time. Joseph is another powerful example. God gave him a seemingly impossible dream. The sun, moon, and stars would bow to him, but Joseph wasn't told how it would happen. Living as a ruler before the throne. Despite adversity, Joseph began living as a ruler long before he sat on a throne. He was betrayed, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned. Yet even in prison, he lived out his essence. He ruled over Potiphar's household, managed his emotions, and eventually ruled Egypt. God wasn't late. He was preparing Joseph for something far greater than he could imagine. The fullness of Joseph's leadership. Joseph didn't govern because he wanted a palace. He governed because it was his essence. Wherever he was, Potiphar's house, the prison, or Egypt, he did what he was made to do, govern. Even in prison, Joseph gained the trust of everyone. He interpreted dreams, demonstrated wisdom, and ruled over every aspect of his life, including his emotions, rejections, and extreme challenges. The lesson of fullness. Fullness is living your essence regardless of circumstances. It's aligning your identity with your direction, knowing that each step, no matter how challenging, is part of God's plan to lead you to your purpose. Living in fullness means living above the storms. Like Joseph, be faithful to your essence, and God will use you for something far greater than you can imagine. Joseph, a story of essence and purpose. Joseph endured everything, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and unjustly imprisoned. Yet in every situation he remained faithful to his essence. When the time came to interpret Pharaoh's dream, Joseph didn't just provide the interpretation, he presented a solution. He created a challenge. Who will manage this? The answer stood before the king. Joseph, a foreigner legally unfit to govern, was chosen. The law had to be changed to place him in charge. This illustrates an essential truth. Joseph didn't seek the palace. The palace sought Joseph. When you live your essence and follow your direction, the right opportunities will find you. Purpose beyond the palace. Many think Joseph's purpose was simply to govern Egypt, but God's plan was never just about Egypt. Joseph's position was orchestrated to save the people of Israel. When he interpreted the dream of the fat and lean cows, Joseph initiated an action plan. During 7 years of abundance, he collected 20% of Egypt's produce. When famine struck, the entire world depended on Egypt's provision. It was during this time that Joseph's brothers came seeking aid, unknowingly bowing before the very one they had betrayed. The dream was fulfilled. The sun, moon, and stars bowed, not for vanity or glory, but to fulfill a greater purpose, to provide and save the people of Israel. Trusting the process, God didn't reveal every detail of the journey. He didn't tell Joseph he'd be falsely accused, imprisoned, or forgotten for 2 years. He simply showed the final destination, leaving the journey as a test of faith. Why doesn't God reveal everything at once? Because if we knew, we might reject the calling. The process is what prepares us for the purpose. Joseph's story teaches us that it's not about the palace, it's about the purpose. No matter where you are, live your essence. Be faithful to what God has placed within you, and trust the process. When you are aligned with God's purpose, the right opportunities will find you. It may not be easy, but the promise is clear. Those who are faithful in little will be entrusted with much. Prison as part of the plan. Have you ever wondered why so many biblical figures ended up in prison? Joseph, Paul, Peter, Daniel, and even Jesus all faced unjust captivity. But these experiences weren't mistakes. They were part of the purpose. Prison awakened a deep sense of justice and a mission to liberate others, physically and spiritually. Captivity wasn't the final destination. It was a tool to shape their essence. The connection between blockages and purpose. Consider your own struggles. Have you stopped to think that what's holding you back might be directly tied to your purpose? The mistakes you've made and the injustices you've faced could be the key to your mission. Those who have never faced hardship struggle to show compassion or understand others' pain. But those who have fallen, been wronged, or endured trials possess a deeper sensitivity and greater strength to help. Say aloud, "My blockages are intimately connected to my purpose." This is the 7th universal law, essence and direction. It reveals your identity and purpose. When you discover who you truly are, your path aligns. You start to see that every obstacle and setback was part of the process to mold you into who you need to be. Joseph, governing in every situation. Joseph was betrayed, sold, falsely accused, and imprisoned. Yet in every stage he maintained his essence as a ruler. He didn't wait for the palace. He ruled wherever he was. Ultimately, his purpose wasn't about power, but about saving the nation of Israel. Movement unlocks opportunities. Many claim success is luck, but luck only finds you when you're moving. It doesn't go backward or seek those who stand still. Everything in creation is in motion. The earth rotates at 1,675 kilometers per hour. Wind, water, and molecules are all constantly moving. And you? Are you standing still? If so, you're going against the natural order of creation. Miracles and opportunities come to those in motion, aligning essence and direction. Nothing in the universe is static. When you align your essence and direction, you'll see that even your blockages are tools shaping your purpose. Don't wait for miracles or luck while standing still. Get up, move, and what is meant for you will come. You don't need all the answers right now. Trust the process. Move forward and be ready for what God has prepared for you. The power of living your essence. Joseph's story demonstrates that your essence will sustain you, even in the darkest moments. When you live authentically and align with God's direction, you not only overcome challenges, but are prepared for the greater purpose ahead. Keep moving, trust the process, and remember, what is yours will find you.